Alright, it's currently 2:11 in the morning, but I wanted to get this video out and recorded right now because I had planned on doing this video a little bit earlier in the week, but then some other stuff came up, so I decided I might as well do it now. But basically, the whole point of today's video is going to be me just talking about giving my opinions for two movies that are coming out very soon. They're both going to be going head to head with each other. One of them, of course, being Superman, James Gunn's Superman, which is the launch of, the newest DC film universe, whatever you want to call it, like DCU or whatever, James Gunn's DC universe, whichever name you want to go for. It pretty much doesn't matter at this point. But it's basically, James Gunn's reboot starting with his Superman film. That'll be coming out very soon, and then coming up we'll be having a few weeks after that, I believe, the new Fantastic Four film from the MCU. So you may be wondering, why am I talking about these movies? Like, haven't there been lots of videos already on them and people talking about them? Yes, there has, but I wanted to give my opinion on these two films in particular. So basically, what I'm about to say may shock, like, everybody who decides to listen to this video, but I don't even know if I'm really excited for either of them, to be honest. Like, don't get me wrong, like, James Gunn's Superman looks somewhat intriguing with some of the characters and some of the shots and, like, music and everything. Like, all that looks somewhat intriguing, but the reason I'm not really looking that forward to it is because, alright, let me just get this out there. It's like, again, this could be, like, very controversial for me to say, but I'm gonna say it anyway. There's just a lot of James Gunn glazers out there. Like, I'm not saying that to be, like, rude or start anything or throw anyone under the bus, but there's just a lot of people out there on the internet that think, like, every movie and show that James Gunn's touched for DC has been, like, perfection. Like, they glaze it to the high heavens. And don't get me wrong, he made some great, like, MCU movies with the Guardians trilogy. His Suicide Squad stuff has been, decent, like, had its ups and downs. But I don't know, I just feel like with this Superman movie in particular, from what I've been seeing, it just kind of looks like he's taking the elements that worked from his Guardians trilogy and the Suicide Squad stuff and is just combining those two elements together to make a Superman film. And, like, don't get me wrong, a lot of those elements could carry over and possibly work for, like, a Superman film. But at the same time, you gotta, with, like, a character like Superman, you have to keep it, like, somewhat grounded. Like, you have to keep the story grounded, definitely, and then when you do, like, the action scenes, you have to give them, like, a certain velocity to them, like, ferociousness to them. I'm not saying, like, they need to be, like, bloody or anything or really violent, but I'll use, like, Zack Snyder's movies, for example. I know he's, like, very controversial nowadays among, like, movie-goer fans, comic fans in general, but say whatever you want about, like, his films in the DC universe, the action scenes were always, like, full throttle. Like, they were always, like, right in your face. Like, you felt the crushing, like, blows, and you felt, like, the destruction and the heroes, like, throwing each other around, and it just made for, like, a very interesting and visually unique, like, fight scene, like, compared to kind of something like from Injustice, where, like, there's the banter between the two characters, and then they're throwing each other around, and all the fights are, like, intense and really well, like, choreographed. I just feel like, from what we've seen, and I know I haven't seen the movie yet, but from what we've seen from James Gunn's Superman film, from the trailers, his fight scenes just don't really look that interesting. Like, I know a lot of people could point out, well, that's because he's trying to make them more, like, comic booky, like, from the Silver Age of comics and everything. And don't get me wrong, that's still nice and all, but I feel like in the day and age that we're in now, because we're currently in 2025, I feel like making a comic book film that's like that isn't. There's, like, a time and place for everything, of course, like the saying goes, but I just feel like this kind of film, this kind of take on Superman would have been good a few years ago, but now, like, with the current time we're in, it just, I don't really know if it'll fit, like, because from what we've been seeing from the trailers, he's like joking a lot, like kind of like how Star-Lord would from the Guardians movies. Some of the characters in the movie kind of remind me of Guardians a little bit, like having Crypto in there. He's basically like the Rocket Raccoon of the film, and you know what? If you've seen Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, then you know why there needs to be like a cute animal in the movie. I'm not saying they're both like the same movies, because of course they're not, but you know what James Gunn likes to do with the animal creatures. He likes to have you get like attached to them and feel emotionally for them, so that way then if they die near the end of the movie, it's supposed to get like an emotional reaction out of you. And I just feel like you don't always need to do that. Like people have pointed out, Superman does have Crypto, like he does have a dog, but as far as the movies go, we've never really seen him with a dog in that many of the movies. Whenever it happened, it was mainly in like comic books and cartoon shows. So I don't really get why we need it here in the movie. I know it's probably, you know, to have a cute dog and bring sales up for the movie and everything, but if all he's going to do is just have it in there to be like an emotional gut punch, I don't know if I really agree with that. But yeah, I could like list a whole bunch of other reasons, like the color grading looks off, like it kind of looks like that Flash movie, if you remember that when it came out from a few years ago, where a lot of the shots just look amateurish and the color grading doesn't look that great, because that's another thing that I give the Snyder movies points over, like extra points over, is like the color grading in those movies. It was always on point. Like I know a lot of people like to just diss him and say, oh, you just took like the 300 color palette and made it dark and edgy, and he did in a lot of areas, but you also got to remember, like whenever we got a shot of like Superman's cape or Batman's, you know, outfit with his cape, or the Batmobile or Wonder Woman, or even heck with Flash or Cyborg, whenever we got like a shot of one of the core heroes, it was full of color. Like you can't look at that and just tell me, oh, there was no color in those movies, they were dark and depressing. There was still plenty of color. Like some of the most badass shots were when Superman would fly through the air and you'd see like the cape flapping behind him, like into the sun and everything, like using the sun to charge himself up and then blast off and fly away. And one of my favorite shots for any like DC film ever is in Zack Snyder's Justice League. Like it's that shot of Batman driving the Batmobile and then all the heroes like flying right next to him. That's just one of the best shots I've ever seen in a comic book movie. Like it looks ripped straight out of a graphic novel, straight out of a comic book. Like you can't look at that and then tell me, oh, it wouldn't be from a comic book, because there have been scenes in the pages of DC Comics where the characters like fly next to Batman or the Batmobile. So at least with Snyder, he tried to like put that visual flair into his films, where I just feel like I just said with James Gunn's take, we're not really getting that. I could be proven wrong when I watch the movie, but from what we've been seeing from the trailers and all like the interviews and the pre-release hype and everything, it just, I don't know, like something looks off to me. I don't know what it is. If it's like the color grading or some of the shots themselves, or even some of like the mannerisms that Superman has, like it just doesn't remind me of the Superman character. Like if you saw recently, they released that clip of, this is like a prime example right here. If you saw recently, they released that clip of Clark talking to Lois, like basically being interviewed by Lois, and like people pointed out in the comments section, he isn't really, what he's saying isn't really sounding like Clark Kent. It's kind of coming across more as like a whiny MCU Peter Parker kind of thing, and I don't know if that's what James Gunn is going for here or what, but that isn't what Superman's supposed to sound like, Clark Kent. Like I agree he does have a good Superman voice, but as far as like his portrayal of Clark, I don't really know if I'm on board with that, because if they're going to make him sound like really whiny, I just don't know if I really like that. But yeah, that's enough Superman talk for now, and let me, on that note, load into the festival, because I was going to mess with some festival while I talked here, but that'll be it for the Superman portion, like just giving why I'm kind of like hesitant on that film, and from my perspective, why I'm not really looking forward to watching it that much. Oh, and another reason to end the Superman portion thing video strongly is I get tired of like this trope in the James Gunn movies, because only specifically been in like the James Gunn films. I get tired of this like trope that the only reason there's like new characters in the film or side characters is to prop the main character up. Like, I know why he does it, so the like side characters don't overshadow Superman and all that, but I get tired of that. He did that in like Suicide Squad, and he did it in Guardians, like where the side characters can't just be like important characters. They're basically there to just prop the main leader up or whatever. It just gets kind of distracting, so I don't know why he does that all the time. So yeah, that'll be like my last point on Superman. But now moving over to the Fantastic Four First Steps. That I don't really know. Like, I'm probably gonna go see it because it's a new Fantastic Four movie, and like we haven't had one in years, and all that, and all the three attempts we've had have been like kind of bad, like rushed and bad out of the door. Like 2015 was definitely rushed and really bad. But I could still appreciate the 2005 and 2007 movies. Those were decent. Like, I could definitely appreciate them for what they were, for the time when they came out. They kind of had that, like, Sam Raimi kind of feel to them where they were, like, serious but also jokes. And I do like the Doctor Doom, actually, from the 2005 and 7 films. That actor did a great job playing him. But, yeah. Basically, what I'm trying to say with Fantastic Four as well is I'm just nothing from like the trailers and TV spots and news like that we've gotten about the film has really made me that excited. Like, it's cool that we're getting the MCU Fantastic Four team, and it's set in the 1960s. Don't get me wrong, that stuff is really cool, but I feel like at the same time, why are we doing it like this? Like, I don't know. Like, I don't know if the movie would be better if it came out after Avengers Doomsday or Secret Wars or something. I don't know if that'd be better, but at the same time, I just feel like having it come out now after, like, most recently Thunderbolts failed, I feel like releasing it now, it won't do that much better because, I did hear Thunderbolts was a good movie, but the problem with it overall is, like, it's a good movie, but it's not a good MCU movie, if that makes sense. Like, it's not really what people are looking for from an MCU movie, because usually, like, I point this out to one of my friends online here on PlayStation, the main reason most people go to see MCU films is for, like, the action and the characters and, like, all the color and everything. But from what I've seen from, like, Thunderbolts and from what I've heard, it's basically just kind of like a dark, dreary movie that deals with, like, depression and everything. And don't get me wrong, there can be films that are great that deal with depression, but in an MCU movie, I don't really know. I'll probably still check it out at some point when it hits Disney Plus, but for me personally, it's not really what I look for in an MCU film. Like, if I want to watch something that's, like, depressing, that has, like, a point to it, I'll go watch, like, a TV show on Max, or I'll go watch a movie that was built for, like, depression, like a love story or something. But getting it, like, in a superhero team-up film, I don't really know if that's the right topic to be covering right now, especially when people just want a fun movie that has, like, a good story, good action, and good, like, characters. And don't get me wrong, a lot of the characters in the movie could be really good from, like, the actors and the writing and everything, but part of the problem is it's still, like, Yelena's movie, and it still primarily focuses on her. And if you wanted, like, Yelena to be this big, like, important character, then you should have put her in more stuff besides just Hawkeye. Like, she should have been appearing in, like, I don't know. I'll just mention a few where she could have possibly appeared that it might have made sense. She could have appeared in Moon Knight, she could have appeared in What If, or she could have appeared in Daredevil Born Again recently, since that was primarily street level stuff. But I just feel like putting her in this movie now and then expecting people to, like, really go to it and enjoy it and watch it, it just was a bad idea. And they changed the name from Thunderbolts like a week later to the New Avengers, which didn't make any sense, because why you promote it primarily as Thunderbolts and then just change it out of nowhere to New Avengers. But I don't know. I feel like that movie's reception will tank Fantastic Four. Like Fantastic Four could still make a decent amount of money. Like don't get me wrong, because it's coming out in July and it's got Pedro Pascal and Vanessa Kirby and those other two guys. But I just feel like I don't know. I just feel like, especially if you saw recently that like ad for Little Caesars, like I know you shouldn't base a movie off like an ad, but I heard like that scene of basically where they were fighting that monster from one of their first comic book issues. I heard that is in the movie, and that's gonna be like near the beginning or whatever. So I don't know if they just made it look badly compressed with like the CG for a commercial or whatever, but that didn't really look good at all. So I don't know. I'm just probably afraid of for how they like handle some of the character motivations and some of the CGI and everything. And I just feel like releasing it now a few months after Thunderbolts, like 1 or 2 months, is a bad idea because, like I just said, you're releasing the movies like too close to each other, especially when Thunderbolts just flopped. So yeah, I'll still probably possibly see the movie and give it a chance. Like I definitely see Fantastic Four more than Superman, but at the same time, I'm not like really hyped for either of them. If that makes sense. So yeah, that's probably going to be it for like this video and like just chatting about stuff that I'm somewhat curious about, but just not really too excited for. So hopefully you understood my main points that I made, and yeah, that's about it. So hope you guys have a good rest of your weekend, and peace out.